Okay, all right. I want to be very aware of everyone's time tonight. So I know we are going to have a lot of folks trickling in. We are quite impressed that over 95 of our board members from around the US registered for this evening's workshop. I know some of you will have to pop in and out or view later, but thank you if you're viewing this now or later on. Thank you so much for joining us all tonight to focus on your volunteer leadership. My name is Sarah Rawls. For those of you who I haven't met, and I apologize, I need to turn off some notifications here. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm Sarah Rawls, Executive Director of the Regional Engagement and Volunteer Management Team. And one of my team's goals, I have many team members on the line tonight, and one of our goals is to provide you, our network board members, with resources to use your time so efficiently and effectively, since we know it is your most precious commodity. So that's why we're here tonight in our annual workshop, in which we bring you some expert knowledge, but also know that you are going to play a tremendous role in making sure that tonight is a good use of your time. Our guests and our staff have recommendations to share this evening, but it really is also about us fostering a productive dialogue between the brain trust that exists among you all. And it is really incredible when I look around these names on Zoom right now, thinking of all the things that you've been able to do during COVID and now in these post-COVID times. So before we get started, I want to turn it over to my boss, Jennifer Crabb-Kyles, Assistant Vice President of the Emory Alumni Association. I'm very thrilled to use that title because Jen is somewhat new to this role, but certainly not new to Emory. Let me just throw up her bio here so you can see Jen is a double alum of Oxford and the college, and she started her career at Emory. So we're thrilled to have her here tonight. Thanks, Jennifer.
I love that you added, I'm a big Dooley fan. That is so true.
And please in the chat, if people could just drop, are you Dooley or Swoop? Just let us know. No.
I'm all team Dooley, team Dooley. Mostly because I started at Oxford, and anyone who knows Oxford, Dooley is crazy there. So I am so honored to be on this call with you all. My career, as Sarah said, I feel like I'm echoing. Am I? Okay, is that better? Okay, so I started my career at the Emory Alumni Association in 2000 immediately. I love it, Dooley. Immediately after I graduated from Emory College. And really, this team is incredibly special to me because it was the team that I started on first. I've worked on every team in the Alumni Association before a short stint of alumni engagement at the law school that then brought me back over here in this capacity as the assistant vice president. So I really feel the pain that you guys go through and trying to stretch the budget and find locations and marketing to all of the different alums in your area. But please know that Emory is so grateful to you all. You are the heartbeat of the network. And so I just, anything you need, I will put my email address in there. Looking forward to working with this incredible team to help you all do what you do. So thank you very much. And Sarah, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Jen. And all right, let's dive in. So I am going to go through a few slides before I turn it over to my colleagues, Molly and Brian, who are joining us here tonight. I do have some text heavy slides, don't worry. I do need to read the text on some of them because they are important essentials, but this deck is really for you all to have as a resource after the workshop. So please know that you will see this in follow-up, and absolutely, I'm sure questions and ideas will bubble up. So make sure to note those for future conversations with your staff partner from the EAA or myself. Happy to join future meetings. So let's talk about why we are all here. You all are volunteer leaders. And for anyone who attended this workshop last January, about the same time, we have it recorded on our volunteer toolkit. And in that workshop, we discussed this definition of a leader. A leader is one who takes responsibility for finding the potential in people and processes, and who has the courage to develop that potential. So as network leaders, you bring your peers together around various identities or interests or affiliations, and you work with the Emory Alumni Association as we all aim to connect alumni to the university and each other, build upon traditions, foster student and alumni leadership, serve the diverse needs and interests of our community, and create opportunities for investment in Emory's future. And I have to read all those bullet points because I just think we cannot say it enough that we are all in this together. And as many of you know, 2 years ago, the Alumni Association entered into a strategic planning process. So this strategic plan really guides us in every step of our work, as well as our work with the Emory networks. And these are the overarching goals that we've committed to in this strategic plan. You might think that these are, one, quite broad, and also that your work would only apply to that first goal. But I want to make sure you understand that Emory networks are a part of all of these goals here. Of course, you are helping us create a loyal alumni community who can always remain connected to Emory, and you all are doing a great deal to make sure that the Emory network is accessible and relevant in alumni, whether they are over 40 or over 60, as we were talking about in the beginning. But you also promote philanthropy and help us build relationships with alumni who may become donors later. Your activity also serves as an inspiration to students who want to be a part of a strong university network, or who are only going to apply to Emory if they know it has a valuable alumni network. And your constant feedback, please know that, does influence how we run our operations, which is that last bucket, and that is key. We are always striving to also be more effective and efficient. And we're working with you to reach these overarching quantitative goals of deepening relationships with 50,000 alumni, and securing gifts from 14,500 alumni in this fiscal year, which I think you all know, ends August 31st. So in a month, we're coming up on halfway through the year. And I do want to note that we are behind in that donor goal. So yes, we will be asking for your help in promoting making an annual gift to your peers. So just wanted to reiterate that. And let's confirm how the Emory networks go about this work to both support those overarching Emory Alumni Association goals, as well as the specific mission that you all craft for your network. So of course, there are standard policies and practices that we're going to ask all board members to follow. Most notably, I'll call out that we do ask you to commit to your roles and create that environment of respect and also confidentiality when it comes to all that alumni data that you're receiving. You represent both the network to its members. So you as a board member are trying to get members more involved and just spread awareness about your network. But then you're also representing those member attitudes and those needs to Emory staff and leadership, which is incredibly important to make sure your community is represented. And then you connect alumni to each other and to Emory, and you help them see themselves in the university's offerings, which is also critical. And lastly, but of course not least, you do help us advance. So you are helping to ensure the sustainability of this group that you're a part of, identifying the next generation. And you're also encouraging an investment in Emory to ensure its growth, whether that is through time, talent, treasure. You are encouraging people to, again, invest in Emory. And of course, how are you supported? You were supported by staff partners, many of whom are on the line tonight. I won't go through all of this, but I do want to know in some of your responses to the registration questions that we posed, I saw that there's still some confusion about some of the fundamental resources that are provided to you or the lane that you should stay in as board members. So please know that your staff partner at the Emory Alumni Association and myself, we are always here to dive into those resources so that you truly understand what trainings are available, what data do you have at your fingertips, what best practices could we offer, other board members who we could connect you with based on what topic you want to know more about, your budget. If you need to know more about your budget, we are here to outline all of that. So please do not hesitate to follow up if you need more information about any of the ways that you are supported. All right, so there are 2 more slides here. Just to let you know, these are for reference later. These are the engagement themes and the core member experiences that you all draw upon. You should all know that by now through annual planning, but I know we have some board members who just joined. So again, these slides are for you all to reference later on. But now, in the interest of time, I am delighted to introduce you to our special guests for this evening, Brian Rubenstein and Molly Daniels. Molly and Brian have more than 50 years of combined experience helping national organizations more effectively engage their volunteer members. They've trained and worked with thousands of volunteer leaders, board members, and staff to provide them with the guidance, knowledge, and resources they need to achieve their organizational goals. Brian and Molly, I will now turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Brian, you want me to just go ahead and launch?
Yeah, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Sarah, for setting that up. I have to tell you, I was tripping over the Dooley thing the whole time. So I am hoping that at some point by the end of tonight, I can find out what that means. So if we can make that happen, I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We're gonna spend, and excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough. We're gonna spend the next hour, 20 minutes hour and 15 minutes, talking to you all about your experience being a board leader, being on the board, and we have a lot of ideas to share with you, but we also think you're going to learn a whole lot from each other. So in the breakouts, we're going to have a chance for you all to, we're going to share some tips, but we're also going to ask you what's working, what's not working. And we have a bunch of questions to pose to you. And I also want to thank everybody who had a chance to fill out, to answer the questions beforehand. Before we break you out into breakouts, I just want to talk about some success factors. And if we could bring up, it's going to be on this slide. The first and the most important one, and I could have put this on every bullet, is communication. If you are not understanding what your role is, if you are having trouble connecting, it's about raising that. Brian and I have worked with so many organizations where people get frustrated and they just don't take the time to communicate their frustration. So actually this bullet should probably just say communication, communication, communication. That's with your board colleagues, that's with your staff partners, that's with Sarah and Jen. Just make sure you're getting your questions answered or you're going to get frustrated. And we have seen that in our experience over and over in our, and I want to, let's be clear, it's our combined 50 years together. Make sure that there's clear outline of your annual goals. This is the next bullet. If you can share that, Sarah. If you don't understand what your goals are, it's really hard to figure out what you need to be doing to fulfill those goals. So again, a lot of this is about communication, but it's just being clear that everybody's on the same page. The next bullet is to be clear on roles and responsibilities. And Sarah began to lay this out today. A lot of these themes we're going to be talking about in our breakouts. So just know that this is not the last time you're going to hear about these concepts. Regular check-ins with staff is really critical. And this is the kind of thing that can be overlooked too often that we see in organizations. There's not enough communication. There's not enough scheduled times for staff to check in with board members. So make sure you build that in. Another key to effective volunteer leadership is respect for your time. We need to respect your time. I was really struck when Sarah opened it. She said, I want to be very thoughtful about this. We're going to start on time because you all have given up your evening tonight. So be very respectful of time. If you're running meetings, if you're participating in meetings, you should, and again, we will talk about this in the breakouts, you should expect that there are clear agendas, that you know what your goals are going to be for the meeting, that you start and end it on time, and that you have regular check-ins with your staff just to check in on everything, and that everybody's respecting everybody else's time. And finally, I know I don't need to tell you all this, but being a board member is an opportunity to learn new skills. And it's also an opportunity for leadership experience. And especially if you're a board president, remember that there may be some people on your board who are looking for those opportunities. Again, these are, we see these keys to effective volunteer leadership regardless of what kind of organization we're working for. We think this is not only important for you being effective in your role, but it's also really important for you enjoying your role. So I'm going to lay that out. Again, you're going to hear a lot about this when we get into the breakouts. Brian, anything you want to add to this? Or I guess, Sarah, anything you would add to that?
I'll just add, you actually hit it right at the end. It wasn't one of your bullet points, but the joy piece is really important. These are volunteer roles. I know they're board roles, but it's not the board of Coca-Cola. It's not the board of Microsoft. You should enjoy your work. If you are dreading going to a board meeting or dreading doing some of your responsibilities, then that's going back to that communicating. You want to talk to the staff about that because this should be a fun position for you. Yeah, there's some accountability and some results that you want to be able to generate as well. But it is important that this is that your board work for Emory is a joyful experience, because that's just going to make you a far more effective leader, both in the work that you're doing directly and how you work with your other board members.
Thanks, Brian. Sarah, anything you want to add?
Yes, I mean, just to reiterate something that we talked about a great deal at this workshop last year. So I will bring it up again. I apologize if you all heard it a million times. think about the norms that you would like to create for your board, whether you are a board member or a chair or the co-president, president, it doesn't matter. You play a role in helping the entire board decide what are those norms, what's the tone we want to set, because many of you brought up in your comments for the registration for tonight, the importance of setting expectations and being consistent, and also continuing on some of the wonderful momentum you've created, which doesn't always mean you have to do more, but if you are consistent in a thoughtful way, you can make sure that you don't burn out, but that you do create those expectations with your own board and with your members, and then you all can plan accordingly. So I think setting those norms up from the start makes it a more enjoyable experience, and then also helps you create those expectations.
That's great. Thank you for saying that, Sarah. That's a really good addition to what Brian and I were saying. So what we're going to do next is we're going to invite you into a bunch of breakout rooms. And can I get an update on how many board member breakout groups there are? Sarah?
We will have 7 for the board members and 2 for presidents and co-presidents.
Yes, there are 2 breakout rooms for board members, 14 in one and 13 in the other.
Okay, great. And what we're going to do is we're going to, again, we have some thoughts to put out there. We have some tips for you, but we're also going to encourage you to raise questions, raise ideas. And then if you could be thinking about what you might want to share with the group when we come back together, I think we're going to be able to